So this is a CD32 that we need to change the capacitors on. I actually got this CD32 donated into the channel. It doesn't work, it's dead as a doornail. They have tried to replace a couple of the main power capacitors on it to see if it made a difference, but it didn't. So they donated it into the channel. So we're going to have a go at changing the capacitors on this CD32. I have never ever used tweezers, because I've seen another video by one of my fellow colleagues that had done a video on these as well, and I reached out to the guys and asked them how much they were, etc., and what my plans were, and they kindly sent me a review unit out to me. So thank you very much for sending this review unit out. I have taken it out of the box. If you've seen other videos, it comes with a cellophane around it, packed in a nice box. I have taken it out and had a quick look and then put it back in. I've not used it or anything like that, so it is still brand new. So you're going to see it pretty much for the first time with me as well. So, right, let's shift that CD32 out of the way, because we don't need that for the moment. And we'll undo this, and it comes in a really, really nice box. It's got a nice feel to it. Unzip round there and take that round that, and then we can open the box up. We get a big power unit. It says on the side 65 watt, so that's quite a beefy power unit. These can come out, so you can either plug them into the US power supplies, or you can put the adapter on, which I will be doing, so I may as well do that now for the UK. So that's his power adapter. Under these little square things, we've got the base. Now that base is quite substantial, to be fair. There's a little bit of weight in it. People comment and saying you can't tell quality over weight, but it's better than sort of like little bits of tin that you normally get with other things. But that's quite a hefty base unit, and if you knock it, it's not going to fall over easy. That's the little stand unit for it that sits just there when we get to the screws. We don't need these sponges. I'm not bothered about a sponge, because I use the copper wire thing here. I don't use sponges. Sponges are real, they work, but they're horrible, to be fair. Underneath, we've got the tweezers themselves. This comes with a little cellophane slider over the top, which I have removed. If you can see them, I'll bring them up a bit closer. They are quite fine tipped, which is good for the CD32, because they are small capacitors. Apparently this thing goes up to about 500 degrees in the space of about 3 seconds. So that's really good too, because we're always waiting around for a soldering iron to warm up. And of course, if you want to remove one of these, you could use it as a single soldering iron as well, if you wanted to use it that way. But I've never used tweezers, and it's going to be nice to be able to see how these capacitors come off the CD32 using these, because it is quite corroded. I'll see if I can put some pictures up, or if I don't put some pictures up, you're going to see it through the microscope LCD screen anyway when I'm removing these capacitors. But yeah, that's the tweezers. They're quite nice. They feel nice as well. So if we're using them correctly, we should be able to just pick things up and take them off. Fingers crossed. In the top, let's pop these bits in here and then they don't get lost. Probably end up in the bin, but there you go. For now, we can go in there. We have a bag with some bits, and there's your screwdrivers supplied with it, and a couple of screws to hold your base bits together. And there's some couple of little grub screws in there. I think they're for the ends of just in there, some grub screws to hold these in case you lose them, so you get some spare ones. There's a code there for the manual. If you want to go and have a look at the manual, you're quite welcome to. I'll see if I can bring it up. There you go. I'll do it again when I'm best taking it out anyway, wouldn't I really? Let's see if you can see that better. There you go. So you should be able to go off and have a look at the manual itself. There's a couple of Allen keys in there as well for them little grub screws. So we'll take the screwdriver, because we're going to need that. We don't want that mat. We'll take them 2 screws that are in here, the big screws, for our mount, and these can stay in here. What else comes with it is a right nice silicon long USB 3 cable. You won't be able to see that on camera, but it is quite physically long. So you're not going to be pulling short on that. I would say it's probably a good, maybe 2 meters long is that cable. So we get a nice silicon cable so we can move about, and that silicon will withstand if you end up touching it with the iron by mistake. In the bag, there is some earth straps, so if you want to earth it down, you can do. So that's nice of them to present them and give that away. To include that, should I say. So, we've got a screwdriver, we've got a cable, we don't need this bit anymore, but we do need to build this up. So I'm just going to quickly build that up very easily. The only downside with this, it would have been nice if this had slotted in and clicked, if you could have slid it in to hold it in place, like a slot in the unit. It would be nicer, because you'd be able to just take it in and out and put it back in the case. Obviously with having these screws screwed into this now, the base unit can't go back into the case, so if you were wanting to be mobile and taking it around with you, I think you'd struggle, because you'd be having to do this every single time. Build yourself a base up, or you would ignore it. You just wouldn't use the base at all, because if you look at the tweezers, they sit off the base quite deep there, so they don't touch down, so you can actually just put them down if you wanted to and not bother putting them into the base, which I think will end up what I'll end up doing most of the time, to be fair. But yeah, so that's his 2 screws in, that's his base, and that's how his tweezers sit. Power amp. And that's it. They look pretty cool. Thank you, Sequre, for sending these through. They look absolutely fantastic. I'm really looking forward to having a go on this CD32. I have already stripped the motherboard out of the CD32, so that's out. These 2 capacitors were changed, but they need to be changed again, and all these need to be changed. You can't really see much in here. You'll have to wait until we go on the microscope, and then you can have a look there. But just having a quick look and seeing how this would feel. So it should be able to just go in like that and warm them up, take it off. Fingers crossed. In like that, melt the 2 plates and lift it off. I'm hoping that's how it's going to work. Fingers crossed it will. These are going to be a bit more troublesome, but I'll probably do them ones off camera, because we're only looking at the surface mounts today. So let's get this under the scope, let's get this plugged in, and let's see if they come off, if these come off nice and easy, and see what this is all about. Alright, got it set up there. So you can see that cap. It looks like it's on an angle, but it isn't. The cap is actually on an angle. So it's actually got probably a gap underneath there that I can go under it, look. Yeah. So that's actually on wonky. So before we try that, let's get this off here. I will let you have a look at what the rest of the caps are. So if we start moving down, you can see them caps there, they're not very shiny, the solder. Although look at the solder. Yeah, you can see that them caps have leaked. Look at the state of them, all the way down. All the way down, even if we go right down there, look, around them resistors, we'll give that a good clean up there. You can see how the capacitors have all leaked all over the place, so all them need to come off. So I'm going to start with that wonky one and see if we can get that. so I don't know whether you can see here, but this is I'm going to show you now how fast it is. So we've got it set at 350, we're at 206, well 25, it's 200, we're at 25 degrees C, so if I press and hold the button on, it should start it to warm up, and we'll see how fast it actually gets up to 350 degrees. You ready? I'm holding, there we go, it's gone. Okay, we're at working temperature. So as you can see there, that's about 2-3 seconds to get us up to working temperature. So let's have a look and see whether we can get this cap off now. I've got my tweezers, so we can try and hold the cap, and I'll go in underneath and just see if we can touch that on there and that on there. And that other one hasn't melted, but one has. It's trying. No, that didn't work. Not first time anyway. So let's go back a bit and let's try a little bit of solder on each end on that other side to see whether we can get a bit of flow going around here. Move that down a little bit so you can see. The coffee's kicked in, so I've got shakes. Doesn't want to play. So you got, what's that? So we'll try again. Not holding tweezers properly. So we'll try again with that. Let's see if we can put a bit on there. See if it'll help. And that should come off. Well, for a first attempt, I suppose it wasn't too bad. But that bad's okay. We can probably just scratch around a little bit with that now. Clean that pad up. We can clean all this crap off later. I want to get that off there. So that pad looks good. And so does this one. But yeah, it looks a bit grungy. But once we've used a bit of braid, that should come off easy peasy. And it should look really nice. So we'll try a little bit of braid on there now. Flick that out of the way because that's just stupid. It's gone. Put some flux down. Let's see if we can just wick this away. Yeah, they look pretty good. They look nice and clean. So that looks cool. So right, I'm going to go into a bit of a montage now and just remove all these capacitors. So I'm not going to be talking anymore, we're just going to whiz through. I'll put a bit of music on for you so you can listen through while I remove every single capacitor on this board. So, here we go. Put a bit of flux on that one, and I'm going to crank it up to 400. only because it wasn't seem to be having enough heat in there, so we'll try that. Nah. So let's try and put a bit of solder on either side of them pins if we can. We are up at 400 degrees. Oh, one side's gone. Has that gone? Yep, we're off. So yeah, they come off really easy, to be honest, and that was quite quickly. It took me about 10 minutes all in all to get them capacitors off. It did take a little bit of while on some of them. So yeah, so what I'm going to do now is just go around the board with some wick and clean all them pads off, and then I'll come back to you when we're ready to try and put a cap back on with the tweezers. The board's all been cleaned up. I've put solder on each of the pads everywhere, so I'm just going to take this now and let's see if we can put this one straight on. And I'm going to do it this way, if I can. I've just put my soldering iron at either side there, look, to melt the solder. Let's see if I can put the cap on. It don't work like that. It feels very, very strange being able to do it like that. It's not, it doesn't compute. Told you before, I've never used this before, so it is actually tricky, actually. So I'm going to put some flux around the board. See if that helps. Because like I said, I've not done this before myself, so I'm going to try. Well, we'll see how we go. So. Don't like it. Yeah. It's on. What do I reckon? Yeah, it sort of worked. some solder. I'll just drop a little bit on either side because I don't like it too much. That's not bad. So that's one 100 microfarad capacitor in. I'm not keen on it, but hey, it'll work, I suppose. So let's try another 100 capacitors. So again, I'm just going to go through these, put all these capacitors back on. We'll crack into a montage after I've done this one. We'll see how it goes. So what became with that, it seems to be sat a little bit too far to one side for me. It wants to go further. If I move that over a little bit there, we'll try that there, see if it sets. I'll put that on top of there. I'll just melt the solder again and see if it sits into place. There we go. It seems a bit fiddly with these things, putting them on with them, but so I've got it all built back up. All I've done is build it back up in here. I've put a disc in, which is a Necrochasm. I think they call that Necrochasm, which is an original disc. Let me find the box for you. Retrochasm. Yeah. I've gone for an original, and this is basically a brand new game anyway. I've hardly ever played it, and I bought it as a new old stock. But the reason why I've done that is because the lasers on these are pretty poor, so we want something that's got a decent disc, basically. So I'm going to give it a try now, and let's see how it goes. So let's flick that switch, and fingers crossed it works. Might take a while to boot up, but you can see power lights come on, activity lights come on. It's actually reading the disc. I think this game takes a while to come on as well, and the sounds doesn't come on until the game pretty much, so you don't really get much. But as you can see, it's booting. We've got a nice picture. I'll press fire now and see if the game will start. Oh, we've got some sound. Woohoo! Up and running. Lovely, absolutely lovely. Now, I'm more than likely going to sell this on in the future. So if you're interested, join the Discord channel, and you'll see things coming up for sale in the Discord channel. I've been going to getting short of quite a lot of retro gear, so it is worth you joining the channel and seeing what's coming up for sale. So press fire again, accessing disc. And also, if you like this kind of stuff, guys, check out the description. There's loads of other YouTubers down there, the likes of Captain Commodore, Retro for You, Josip Retro Bits that does programming, and myself is also in the channel, along with Mark Fixit, so Tim's Retro Corner. There's quite a lot of YouTubers in there that can help you out with stuff if you need it. We're always chatting around in there and having a laugh, so come and join us and see what it's all about. But yeah, we've now got a CD32 up and running, recapped with Sequre's Tweezers. These were really good, these. If you want to buy them, if you're interested in them, by all means, pop a link in the description, take a look, and have a look through there. They do them on AliExpress. Let me turn that down a bit. There'll be a couple of links there for you. You can get it on AliExpress. I did look earlier on, it were about £90 for them. If you go to the website, the actual Sequre website at the moment, though, I think they're around about £70. So these are well worth buying. Definitely well worth buying for doing surface mount capacitors. Yeah, I struggled a little bit, only because I've never used them before, and they did feel a little bit weird until you get used to them. But once you get used to them, you can pick up the pace, and it's really, really good. So, thanks for watching, guys. It's been a pleasure. We'll see you on the next one.